Okay, welcome back. It's been a while. I think 2 months since our last one. If anyone is watching, it says we've got 26 people in here. If you can just say hi in the chat, let me know if you can hear me. Jono, can you say hi? And
Hi, everybody.
let us know if you can hear Jono. I'll just wait for that. While we're waiting, what have you been up to, Jono? It's been nearly a month since you've been free to roam around the world.
It has been a while. We went on a first holiday. We've been in a long time. I'm giving up cricket training tonight. So hello to all the cricket boys out there who have just finished cricket training and probably listening now. But also today it was my mum's 80th birthday. So
Happy birthday!
cheers to you, mum.
I've actually got a question.
She will no doubt. I'm guarantee you that she will not be watching this podcast. That's an absolute guarantee.
Hey, I'm a nice son as well. I took my mum out for a coffee today, and I can also guarantee that she's not watching this because she couldn't even turn on a computer. But a question, actually: how much does your mum know about what you do, and what does she think of what you do?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. We could probably talk about this for ages. I don't think she really knows what I do. She's a bit dubious about it. But she knows that, her grandkids are getting an education and we can pay our house. So I think she's happy. If she sees us happy, then she's happy. So I think that's it. But it's an interesting question because what do you say to people what you do? What are people's reactions? I think we could talk about a whole podcast about that, don't you think so?
Oh, I think so. So personally, when I was doing online casino, so this was from my 20s to my 30s, I tried to explain it once to my mum, and she just didn't understand. And then when I moved to the UK, I just said, I got a job in IT, and I'm a consultant. So just so she was fine with it and everything. And I remember her saying, when I was doing the gambling stuff, just be careful. But I think parents, as long as they know you're doing okay, they're happy with it. For me personally, depends who I talk to, what I say. Betting for me is only such a small percentage of my time. So sometimes, if I don't want to really talk to the person, I'll say I'm in IT. If I think it's an interesting character, I'll tell him I bet professionally for a bit of fun, or sometimes angel investor, entrepreneur. I don't even know what I do really most of the time.
Just put a line out there and see if anything catches.
Exactly.
So.
All right, we've got a few people. They said the sound's fine, so that's good. A quick rundown of what we're going to do, what we're going to talk about tonight. We're going to be giving away a couple of prizes. So the first thing we're going to do is give a $100 cash prize away thanks to Topsport. Although Tristan probably thanks Daily Profit for all the money he's been making from Daily Profit members with the NFL. Another thing we will be talking about. We're also going to give a Betfair prize pack away thanks to Luke at Betfair. It's a VIP prize pack, and this thing, you get board shorts, you get a tracksuit, a vest, wireless mouse, Betfair cap, and a Betfair hoodie. And so this is only going to be open to Aussies, and you're going to have to wait around for the end. So come back in 20 minutes if you just want to win that.
Is it available to podcast people? People who make podcasts.
No, but Luke has given us 3 prize packs. So maybe we'll enter the next 2. So I guess going by how long we take between these, the next podcast will be in 3-4 months. Is it an exponential curve? So yeah, but we'll give those prize packs out in the next few. And we'll open this up to not people just live, but you're going to have a huge chance. But yeah, we'll talk about that more later. Then we're going to go over the Christmas party that we're going to have for Daily Profit. I'll update my presidential bet. The NFL results that have been terrible. Worst modeler ever, Jono. And then Jono is going to finally get a chance to talk, and he'll talk about the maths behind drawdowns. He has all these fancy graphs that I don't understand. So hopefully he can explain them to me. I'll talk about the psychology of dealing with losing runs. I am the world expert on losing money, so you're going to get a masterclass on that. We're going to talk about something that's crashing at the moment, Bitcoin. What is it now? I don't know. It's down a lot.
That's 16 and a half.
Ooh.
It's gone up from about 3.5 a year ago. It's terrible.
If we've got time, we'll answer a couple of questions that we've got. And then I've got a surprise at the end, mostly for Jono. But yeah, it's an exciting one, I think. So yeah, ooh, exciting. Okay. Let's start with the Topsport. And let me see if I remember how to use this software. As always, thank you, Tristan. Topsport, given $100 cash, you can have it in your account or your bank account. And what we're going to do, so in the chat, get ready. It's pretty much a fastest finger first. We're going to have the first touchdown. Tomorrow's game is Washington versus Dallas. So these are all the players. Of course, Ezekiel Elliott is the favourite. Put in who you think is going to be the first touchdown scorer. First correct answer gets $100. So this normally takes 20 or 30 second delay. So I'm sure answers will be coming in a second. There we go. Michael Cruz was the fastest finger. Oh, John O'Lowe with the Steve Milando there. I'm a chance. All right, we've got a few answers. That's good. All right. Next, so the Betfair, remember, the Betfair prize pack, we'll come back to that near the end. The Christmas party. So if you remember, we've got about $5,500 and a couple more bets to spend on a Christmas party of some sort. Travel's looking good again. So if I can get 20 members down to the Gong, we're going to hold a party here. Jono, are you in on that?
I am, but there's a slight problem, Steve.
What?
Victoria has going to close the borders to all other states. And we're going to team up and merge with Tasmania and call ourselves Vicmania. So, yeah.
Well, maybe we can have it in Tasmania. I wouldn't ever want to go to Victoria. It's a shit.
Vicmania.
Vicmania.
Yeah. Of course I'll be there.
Dick or Vicmania? I couldn't quite hear that.
Vic. A combination of
Victoria. Oh, I understand.
No, I'll be there.
Sweet. So hopefully we can get 20. We'll at least 20. I'm sure we will. And then whatever money's not spent, we'll just go crazy on some multis or some horses on the day. And for those who can't make it, we might do something for you guys too. Okay. I'm going to update my presidential bet. So if you remember, I bet about 90,000 at the tab on Biden. And then I had laid it off on Betfair because the prices were so much lower. I'd locked in about $5,000 to $6,000 profit through that arb. And then, of course, on Twitter, I see probably 50 different accounts after the election's over. Biden's clearly won. The price is in between $1.10, $1.20 on Biden. Everyone's saying, this is the freest money you could ever get. This is amazing. Why is it so much? You should all put your money on there. None of them put their money on there, but I agreed with them. And I actually tried to place the 90 grand lay that I had on Betfair on Biden. On Biden on Betfair. And I rang Betfair because in Australia you can't bet in play. You have to call up. And after 5 minutes on waiting for someone to pick up, the price came back down. It was about $1.18 at the time. Came back down to $1.11. Got pissed off, didn't place the bet. Waited until the next day, and I think I managed to get him for $1.11, $1.12. So now my position is I've got 150k odd on Biden. If he wins, I'll win about 15 or 16 grand. If Trump wins, I lose 150k. And the price recently had been about $1.03, $1.04 the last few days. It's just gone out to $1.08. No idea why, but yeah, that's the update on that bet. I'm talking a lot here, but there's only one more thing before Jono gets to actually teach us and me.
Is Kamala Harris a chance to be next president?
No chance.
No.
And that price has gone back out to 1,000. It did come in to 550 on Betfair, went back out to 1,000.
Nice.
Okay, so quickly NFL results, and this is why we're talking about losing runs and how to deal with them. So this season, the total, they're down 15.6 units. Line bets are down 13.1 units. But with totals, we are beating the closing line on the majority of bets. So to me, that just says a bit unlucky. And we have been very unlucky. We lost the under bet on a Hail Mary throw where that guy caught it over 3 other defenders in the end zone. That was a crazy loss. It was crazy. But yeah. Line bets, we've lost 17 units alone on Dallas. We've stopped advising them, and Jono might talk about all that later on. So yeah, let's get into Jono, and I'm going to share his screen, and I'll put it on him first, and then when he wants me to share the screen, I will. So Jono, talk to us about the maths behind all this sort of stuff and what you've done.
All right, well, it's quite simple, Steve. Downturns, you shouldn't have them. Okay, what's next? No, okay, all right, sorry, just to be serious. Now, so you're saying before the NFL, the totals bets were beating the final line. We're just down on profit.
Yes.
Yeah, well, that's really interesting. So I'll get into this. So if you want to share my first screen here.
Okay, hold on.
I'm going to give you a few graphs, and these graphs are actual bets made by related or anything else like that. The actual bets made by me. And I don't know if that one's up there,
Yep,
Steve.
it's up.
Yeah, it is. So this is as you can see, it's from about about July up into almost a couple of months or so. And I've deliberately left out how many units it is. That's more than 2 units up to the top. That's whatever units they are, it's a significant amount. So you can see it's increasing over time, and then we're getting a bit of a downturn. And the question is, well, hang on, what's going on here? Do I go, well, I thought I was doing pretty good at the halfway mark, and then all of a sudden I've just sort of given it all away. And the question is, what do you do in these downturns? Well, you've got to analyse your results. And I'll show you, there's several ways you can analyse this. I'll show you this next picture here. This picture is exactly the same. The red is exactly the same. That's the actual bets made. Whereas the blue line is the expected profits. Okay, and there's a number of different ways you can work out expected profits, but I'll go into them in a sec. But what it means is I should be getting somewhere near that blue line, but I was sort of at the start, and then I went down, and I wasn't too concerned because if I'm beating the finishing line, and that's where the expected profits come from, then I have confidence in the model still, and that downturn that I had wouldn't really upset me. And so this expected profit is calculated based on the finishing line. So in horse racing or greyhound or harness or whatever you want to do, often people use the Betfair starting price as the finishing line. In sports betting, they use the pinnacle finishing line, which is often very good. Or you could use any bookmaker these days. I don't think Pinnacle used to be ahead of the pack, but I don't think it really is that much anymore. And you can get, if you want to download finishing lines, there are several websites that you can go to called Odds Portal. It doesn't really have it in good XML or any sort of data, but you can download it all there. And so you can assume that the finishing line is the same probability, so it's exactly the same probability. So if you beat that finishing line, you can work out what your expected is. Now that takes a bit of work to do. But another way, if you want to simplify it, for example, I think you said Steve before, is work out how many times you beat, you're not. So it's just as simple of yes, I did there, and no, I didn't there. Add them up, and if it's more, you're beating line more so than you don't, then that's a good sign that you're in general going to make a profit. Now, if we look at this graph, and I'm going to extend this until more recent, and I haven't included the last few days just because I haven't. That's what happened. Going up until only about a week ago. So this here, as you can see at the start, it goes up and down, but then it goes and increases up, and it's gone up a little bit more lately, almost in line with that blue line. I don't know if it will ever get to that blue line, or whether it will increase it or decrease, or maybe my bets move the market too much that the expected is a little bit biased in that way. But either way, I have complete confidence in this model when the expected is increasing. And I'll give you another way you can work out expected. If you ever go and bet on for example, and you bet on a 10 to 1 shot or a 20 to 1 shot, and it just loses by like a nose or something like that. Steve, you've probably done that plenty of times, I'm sure.
Yes, I have.
You're the world's
worst gambler or most losing money person.
I'd say you're the worst profitable gambler.
That makes perfect sense.
So your psyche after that goes, well, that wasn't a bad bet. You know what I mean? There was a big outside, only just lost, and you sort of, yeah, that's okay. I'm happy with that. So what you can do, and the same thing occurs in AFL. You might be really pissed off that you lost, but if you've got a level head, you think that's okay. And same thing like in sport, if you're betting on a big outsider and it just loses, you go, well, I think I had value there, even though I didn't. So in this case, you can work out that this takes a little bit more work, but it's really interesting to do. If you go back through data, and you can do this with a database reasonably easily, and you look at all the sports or the horses or whatever model you're looking at a 5-to-1 and work out how much on average did they lose by. So a 5-to-1 horse might on average lose by 3 lengths or something, 4 lengths. A 5-to-1 AFL team might on average lose by 30 points. And if you're betting on 5-to-1 horses or footy teams are on average losing by less than the overall average, the ones you bet on, then you're finding value there as well. So that's a way you can work out if you're betting late into the market. Like if you're betting at Betfair SP, you can work out if the value is there based on the results of the game, not necessarily the finishing price. Does that make sense, Steve?
Yep.
Kind of? It does. Awesome. So that's one of my great models. I love this model. It's only been going for a little bit, but I've got so much confidence in it. I've only been going it for like about 3 months, as you can see here. But the expected value gives me a lot of confidence in it. How much data do you need to make sure it's okay? You need years or months, but you don't if you can work out what your expected value is. Now, this graph is 2 interesting things. It's a little bit confusing.
Too many colours!
Look at the colours, too many colours. The greens go with the greens, okay? The greens are with the greens, the blues are with the blues. The darker greens are the actual bets I made. So the dark green and the dark blue are the actual bets. These 2 sports are related, but different as well. So I'll split them up. So you can see the dark green has got more profit, and the dark blue has got not as much, but that's all right. But you can also see that the light green is the expected, is very consistent up. So I'm very confident with that dark green model. Whereas the light blue is only a little bit up. I'm expecting a downturn on the dark blue. I do expect it even to go more in line with that light blue graph. So how do I deal with downturns in this case? Well, I'm expecting it in the blue one. And even in the green one, it shot up at early and then came back down. So, so I've got a lot more confidence in the green model there than the blue model. So I think that makes sense as well. Yes,
yes, it does.
Perhaps.
So
Good.
the question there, would be: would you stop that blue model? It looks like it's positive, but very low positive. That light blue line.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a good question. I'm still going to keep on going with it. But if it does have a little bit of a downturn, then I would start to question a few things about it. If the green model has a downturn and the expected profits still keep on going up, then I think it's just natural variation in the betting. But it's something to look at. As you can see, it did have a downturn between the start of November to a couple of weeks, but then went back up again. But it tells me also that either I don't have as big a edge there, or I need to work on some more variables to add it to it to make it better, or so that's
Okay.
that one there. And now I've got this is a really interesting graph here, actual profits and expected profits. So this is another complete model. I haven't got the dates on here for other reasons, and as you can see from pretty much to about halfway through, the expected profits in blue and the actual profits in red, we're doing really, really well. But you notice also that the blue line sort of just sort of levels off, and so did the profits. I mean, for a while there, they kept on increasing at the same rate, but probably in the last third, they leveled off. And even at the very end, you can see that the blue line just decreased a little bit, probably for one of the first few times ever. And also the red line did. Now that red downturn right at the very end was a big downturn for me. That was more upsetting perhaps to me than some of the big downturns earlier. I wasn't concerned with the downturns earlier. And so therefore I stopped betting this model. I realised
Wow.
I do not have an edge anymore. I have to fix this model, or I have to find out why my edge isn't there. So I'm going to give you a couple of graphs of analysis of what I did to find this. And what I've got here is a 7-day rolling average of the expected profits average. So that's the blue line that we saw before, just blue line average. As you can see, it goes up and down here, but as you see, it's going very close to, and that last line is 0 advantage, and then it dips under. So this is very much a good highlight of that. Now, one of the reasons why the profits and expected profits were decreasing was because of this next one. This is a 7-day rolling amount bet. So I was betting quite a bit at the start, and it's decreasing, and it kept on decreasing. Some of the reasons why it decreased is because a couple of bookies banned me, or limited me. That's true. At the very end, I went for a holiday there, so that's why there's a few lines. And then at the very end, you can just tell at the very end, I've sort of like given up. Tried for a couple of days and said, no, still not working. So the amount I was betting was less. Now, if you're betting less, and I know it wasn't all just down to bookies limiting it, if you're betting less, it means that your overlays are smaller. Okay? So why are your overlays smaller? It's either maybe you're not getting as good at odds, or you're betting at the right time. Is there something in your model that you need to improve on? Are there other gamblers out there who've got a better model than you now and are cutting out your prices or something like that? So that's the reason behind it. And so I've worked hard to try and work out why that is. And you'll be interested to know that if we go back to this line here, it's a very similar model to this blue line, but I've managed to turn this around now, only a little bit, and give myself a small inclining expected profit. So I'm really happy with that, but I can still hopefully manage to make it better. So looking at a downturn, and if you can't do that, then you've got to work out where are you winning and where are you losing. I think you said before we've lost a heap load on Dallas, and that's probably because their quarterback, busted his ankle, I think, like that. And maybe there's variables in there that you don't have. And yeah, I think that's about it. So have you got anything else to add on that one?
No, so the question is, so for Daily Profit members, you do this analysis all the time for all the models, and if something does change, and we have in the past taken models off, so we used to have the MLB, we used to have ice hockey, rugby union and so on, but when the model's not working anymore, then we stop advising those bets because they're not winning models. And you'll do the same with the NFL.
Yeah, well, that's right. If you don't have an edge, you don't bet. I mean, that's common. So if you in your normal life, if you're punting on someone's tips or something else like that, and if you're on a downturn that's not working out well, then try and work out why that downturn is happening. Is there a specific reason? Are your overlays, as I said, smaller? And then hopefully that will help you improve your model or improve your bets that you're making. And if you aren't confident with it, then just don't bet it. You can't lose if you don't bet.
Yep.
So.
Okay. Excellent. Thank you very much for that. I did understand most of those graphs, so that was good. Now, we're going to go to me, and I am going to talk about how to deal. So the mental side. And I think, personally, I've become probably the world expert at losing money. I've been on a 300k drawdown following tipsters. That was over 1 year. I've lost over $1 million in a month with crypto. Today alone, across my whole portfolio, I'm down over 6 figures. So across crypto stocks, betting, angel investing, emu farms, whatever I invest in, I'm down. And to me, it has very little impact. But if you want to talk to someone who knows how to lose money better than anyone else, Jono's got his PhD in sports statistics and all that. I've got it in losing money. So let's talk about the science. And the key is loss aversion. So it was 1984, Daniel Kahneman, I think. He did a research paper. And what he saw was that losing $100 hurts more than how good it feels to win $100. And he found that it was more a 2-to-1 ratio. So you need to win $200 to feel as good as bad it feels losing $100. And they've done more research over the years, and there's a golf example where they looked at PGA players, and it was over 2 million putts, and they compared par putts to birdie putts, and they made sure it was from the same distance and all that. And psychologists thought, well, sinking a birdie is more like a winning point, while sinking a par would be considered in their head to avoiding a loss, as you're -1 if you get a bogey, but you're even if you miss the birdie putt. And what they saw that was that golfers hit more of the par putts because they were concentrating so much more to not lose than to theoretically win in their head. You can also see it in soccer games. You see a team all over the other team. They're just a better team, really. They end up scoring a goal, and then they go into their shells. They're trying to protect their lead. They don't want to give up what they've got. And then usually that gives the other team more ball, and then they might come back. And then, of course, in betting and the stock market, the research showed that investors were much more likely to cash out shares that were in profit and hold on to shares that were losing, which is the exact opposite of what you want to do. You want to hold on to your winners and get rid of your losers as quickly as possible. So people prefer to lose instead of making gains. And it's just crazy. And so the thing that you need to do is get this right. So your brain, by far, is your strongest punting tool. If you can get your emotions in check, you're going to do fine. And what I found is that we've all got a different range of emotions. So say we've got 1 to 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, I'm fairly stable. I'm like 4 to 8. So on my worst day, I'm a 4. Best day, when everything's going awesome, I'm an 8. But then I've seen people and friends, and their emotional range is 1 to 10. So you can, and even in the same day, they might be in a deep depression, and then they might be totally euphoric. And that's very dangerous when it comes to betting. So in betting terms, my small range of motion is good. Not so great in other aspects of life, but for betting, it's really good. But with a few simple tools, you can narrow that range. And I'll talk about 2 that I used. The first one being meditation. And it's not like the woo-woo bloody religious thing that people think when you hear meditation. So I use an app called Calm. So this is Calm. And you don't need an app, but I've invested in that and I'm trying to get you to download it. Get the plug in. But all meditation is sit down, close your eyes, 10 minutes. Let whatever your brain wants to bring into your head, do it. Don't try to answer questions. Things will come in and out. They'll be like, oh, what about this? Oh, I've got to do that later. All this stuff will come into your head. Just let it come in. Let it pass. Don't try to solve any problems. Your brain will figure out all this shit by itself and just let it go. And 10 minutes is sort of the minimum. I used to do half an hour, got up to an hour at one stage. An hour a day of just sitting still is nigh on impossible. But after that hour, you just are so calm for the rest of the day. It's perfect, especially with kids. If I can do at least 10 minutes of meditation, just sitting there, I don't yell at the kids as much and everything, and I'm just calmer throughout the day. The other one is Stoic philosophy. So I always recommend 2 books. There's this one here, if you can see. This is Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. He was a Roman emperor, and he wrote down a journal. And it's fantastic to get both meditation and Stoic philosophy, which are over 2,000 years old. And the other one I recommend is Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, and that's my favourite book by far. I read that every year. And what it is was Seneca, who was also part of Rome at that time, he would write to friends that had issues or mentees and just answer their questions. And it's really like he's writing to us today. All the topics are the same. Nothing's changed in 2,000 years. The same problems come up for people back then as they do now. So I would really suggest reading those 2 books. And pretty much Stoic philosophy in the end is just you understand that pain is just a part of life. It's going to come. But if you can train yourself to deal with it, then it's fine when it does come. So there are a couple of, well, what I was going to say as well, we pretty much can't, things are going to happen to us, and that's not our fault. They're just going to happen. But how we deal with them, that's what we can control. So yeah, those two techniques helped me immensely over the past 10 years. And of course, there's practical solutions to it. Don't watch games. And this is more a do as I say, not as I do. I watch games, well, live scores anyway. I know I shouldn't. And normally, when you are watching a game, if you think about it, you're always watching it as a negative. Like if we're on an under, you're looking at every play going, oh, don't catch that ball. Don't do this, don't do that. And you just get into a negative spiral while watching that game. So it serves no purpose at all. The other one, of course, make sure your 1 unit bet size is an amount that you couldn't care if you lost. So the average for daily profit members is $200 is a unit. You should be able to burn $200 and not even think about it. And if that causes you to go like, oh, that's a bit, then you're betting too much. And then, of course, if you're following a winning tipster, you should be calm. You should have done all your research beforehand. You should have set up your bank. And at Daily Profit, we say 100-unit bank. And then you don't have to think. Because if you've set up a 100-unit bank, you've made all those decisions beforehand. When something happens like a 30-unit drawdown, like we've had with the NFL, you know what to do because you know to do nothing. You know to keep betting because you're only 30% down on your 100-unit bank. If you start thinking in the moment, am I quitting? Your 100-unit bank was never a 100-unit bank. It was a 30-unit bank, and you're betting 3 times as much as you should be. So what you've got to do is always make your decisions when you're calm, because you're not going to make the right decision when you're reacting to events happening in the moment. So that's my take on the mental game of betting. It can suck at times. Even me, when you go on a losing run, I'm sure my wife can see that I'm a bit more unhappy. But yeah, for the most part, I just deal with it. And it's because of these techniques and tools that I've learnt over the years. Okay, so that's that.
Yeah, very, very good, Steve. Bring me back in.
Yep,
mate.
you're in.
Bring me back. Great book recommendations, by the way. You wouldn't be Italian by any chance?
Have you seen my nose?
No, I love your thing. I remember my very first big win that I had. I was very young then, and I think I shouted the bar. But nowadays, if I win, I win. If I lose, I lose. So you got to get in that headspace. That's very, very good. And your analogy of golf was fantastic, because I actually find that when I'm putting for triple bogey, I make it more often when I'm putting for a double bogey. So I think that really works well.
So in golf, I just find that if you go over 10, you don't care, and then you just play better.
Okay, exactly. It's every hole for you, isn't it, Steve?
Hey. I get a 9 every now and again, so I'm not too bad. Although you do have a photo of my famous golf shot in Vegas, I believe. Lucky that's not on here. We'll put that up on Twitter, maybe. So what do we got next? What are we? Oh, we're just close to over. I do want to talk about Bitcoin, because maybe we'll do Bitcoin, we'll do the Betfair prize. Actually, let's do the Betfair prize now, so if people don't want to wait around. There's 60 people in here. That's pretty good. So let's do Betfair. And Betfair Australia is very different to Betfair UK or Betfair the rest of the world. So Betfair UK is owned by Flutter, which owns Paddy Power Sportsbet. So it's the evil empire. Betfair Australia, also owned by an evil empire, which is Crown. But there's a different structure. And they really want the Australians who they serve, and it's only Australians, to win money from everyone else on Betfair. So they're there trying to teach you how to win and everything. Actually, let me get the Betfair logo up. So they want you to win. And Betfair is completely different, being a peer-to-peer exchange where you're not betting against the bookie, you're betting against other people. So they've got so many tools on their website. They do online courses, all this other stuff. So if you want to talk about automation or data, you can talk to Kieran. and I'll put a link to her up down below in the comments. And if you want to open a new account or a VIP account or whatever, you can talk to Luke, and again, I'll put his link down. But they're trying to teach punters, and look, I don't use Betfair as much. I use it for Arbin and so on. I know Jono uses Betfair a fair bit, but Topsport and Betfair are the two that you can trust that aren't going to try to rip you off or close accounts or anything like that. Okay, so I've done my spiel.
We don't plug dodgy bookies on this show, mate. Only the good ones. And if you're betting really late, then Betfair is it, and Topsport too. They're both fantastic.
Yeah, if you ever see us putting up a sports bet banner or a TAB banner, then
cancel your subscription.
Yes,
cancel your subscription.
Yes, just know that we're in it for the money only. So now, Betfair prize, which I've mentioned before, but let's go over it. Board shorts, tracksuit, vest, mouse, cap, hoodie, and they'll send it straight to your place. Now, we've got the Australia versus India game tomorrow, first cricket of the summer. Let's put it up here. And we're going to leave this one open to everyone, but you guys in live chat are, of course, going to get the first chance. What we're going to do is the first person to pick the highest run scorer and the amount they're going to get. And so it's nearest the pin. So if you think Steve Smith has got his touch back and he's going to score 170, then put that in. And then if he scores 160 and someone had 158, they're going to win on Steve Smith. So choose your batsman who's going to get the highest score and the exact number that they're going to score. And there'll be one winner on this. And yep, I can see people coming in. So Finch 86, Smith 87, Coley 125, Warner 79. No. So yep, everyone understands what's going on. So put them in there. For the guys that are watching this on replay before tomorrow night, you just have to go in the comments and your bet will stand as well. And that's a really, really good prize. All right, let's move on. We had a couple of question and answers. I want Jono to talk a bit. So I just want you to answer this question quickly, Jono.
Sure.
And so Richard asks, and this is about NFL pretty much. When a model appears to have a team very, very wrong, think the Cowboys, do you ever simply accept it and bet against the data that's coming out? It appears each year the model across multiple sports has a team that seems to get very wrong. Bulldogs in the NRL, I think I might have been Swans or North in the AFL, examples like that. So what do you do in those situations?
Well, with the teams it gets very wrong, it gets another team or maybe more teams very right as well. You've got to work out why it's getting it wrong and why it's getting it right. There's something in the model that's not working. So for Dallas, clearly the star quarterback injured out. So therefore it's creating more overlays on them because the prices have come in. I can't remember what happened to the Bulldogs, but I guess often like some teams may fall into a bit of a psychological heap and start going down and things like that. So it's wary to think about them. But I guess if the question is if you think there's a reason why the bets are coming up, and they're losing, then I have no reason why you shouldn't just stop your bet or decrease your bet. So I think you've got to work out the reason why.
Yep. So. And on Daily Profit, if we do see that, we'll try to tell members in emails and that, as we did with Dallas and stopped them. And I think it was Richmond one year that was just every bet was a massive overlay, and that was before they started winning titles. So the model saw it before it happened, sort of thing. So it does, like Jono said, work the other way as well.
Yeah, and I think we had some big bets on St George last year or the year before.
Yeah, this year we've had a few on the Dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, so look, I think what might be handy, it's a really good question, and it's great to ask questions because then I can improve things and do things. So I could have like a running tally on how week to week and how we've done on each team. And then you can see, we've lost heaps on that team, or maybe I'll work out why, and vice versa. So that'd be more input and more information for you.
Yeah.
To
and that's something.
Educate bets.
Yeah, and that's something Pump 101 will eventually do. You'll be able to click on a team, see how you've done betting for and against them. But yeah, the iOS app is coming soon. I know I keep saying. All right, let's do. Yeah, we've still got 55 people here. Do you want to do another 5 minutes, Jono, talking about Bitcoin?
So I've got a question for you. What are emu farms, mate? What are you investing in?
That was a joke. I've actually had mates invest in an emu farm. It was one of these investment vehicles years ago. That was always just a complete scam. But yeah, I was joking about emu farms.
All right, no worries. Talk about the coin then quickly.
All right, let's get to Bitcoin. So, every second email I get, every second Twitter DM, people saying, sell me on Bitcoin. Why should I be buying it? And look, honestly, I don't care if you buy Bitcoin or not. Do your own research. I've done my research, and I believe that it's going to just keep going up in value. But people seem to want to have a narrative or a story. They need something that can say, all right, I'm going to buy it now because I believe this story or narrative about it. And what I say is always Occam's razor. It just means that whatever the simplest answer is usually the right answer. And right now, the simplest answer is supply and demand. There is more demand than there is supply. Not in the last hour where it's gone down like $2,000, but in general, there's more supply and demand. Like it's supply and demand. More people want it, less people want to sell it. And that's the simple answer. That's all you have to, you don't have to think about all these stories and everything. And then people will say, well, that's just a greater fool theory. And what I say to them is, I think selling your Bitcoin and not buying your Bitcoin if you've got savings is the greater fool. Why would you keep any of your savings in a bank account earning 0.1% interest and losing money to inflation, or putting in the stock market at an all-time high during a pandemic, or Australian property when it's at an all-time high as well? But the reason is there's just every country's printing money. QE is happening, and America's printed 20% of its entire money supply in this year. So of course all these things are going to keep going up, but Bitcoin is, as they say, the fastest horse in this race, so it'll go up faster than everything else. But then if you want a narrative, if you want a story about Bitcoin, and this is a supply demand story, right now you've got PayPal and Square's Cash App. They allow Americans to buy Bitcoin now. So in PayPal, if you're an American, you can buy Bitcoin in your PayPal account. There's 900 Bitcoins minted a day by miners, and these two companies alone have about 120% of that being bought every day. So more than 1,000 coins are being bought on these two companies every day. So all the mined coins are being taken up, and then a few more just from these two companies. Then once you add in retail investors, all the institutions buying, there's nation states buying, there's only one direction that Bitcoin can go, and that's up. I see it as a store of value. Jono uses it more as exchange. You use bookmakers with it, and I just hold it. But even if it at the start is just a store of value, and the nearest thing to that is gold. Gold has a $10 trillion market cap at the moment. Bitcoin's $350 billion or whatever. I see 5 to 10 years it getting near gold or overtaking it. So if you look at 10 trillion or more, what's that, 30 to 40x gain? And this is 5 to 10 years. There's a few more halving cycles. But then once you have that store of value, so say it is worth $10 trillion, the beauty of Bitcoin is it's a platform. It's like the internet, so you can build on top of it. So you can, anything that's got a database, any sort of company or market that is made with a database or an Excel sheet can be built on top of Bitcoin. So you could have your money exchange, you could have a peer-to-peer betting network, you can have real estate, you can have a stock market on top of it. And then this is just going to grab trillions from all these other markets, build on top and top and top, and then you've got 10, 20, 30, 40 trillion, and then it starts being worth something. So as always, I'm a bull, and the beauty of Bitcoin and angel investments and stocks and all this is you do your research beforehand. You go down the rabbit hole, you understand it, you place your bet on it. If you want, you can walk away. Bitcoin, you've got thousands of developers working for you. You've got millions of people on Twitter, even me, just talking about Bitcoin non-stop, and the price is going to rise because of all of this without you having to do anything. So as always, do everything beforehand. Work it out, do all the research, and then place your bet, and then just forget about it. Come back in 5 years and see what happens. And I say this, of course, during bull runs, I can't stop looking at the price. So I've got to learn some of my own lessons. But yeah, that's my take on Bitcoin. As always, do your own research. And if you do decide to buy, I think it's going to keep going up. Jono, do you have any thoughts?
I think it's going to keep coming up. If half of that went over your head, like half of it did for me, then just go buy an emu farm or something. I think
emu farms are the next big thing.
No, great, Steve. Great analysis.
Okay.
Like
All right, I think we're done. We went way over. I was meant to answer a question. Let's just, Jono, you got 5 more minutes. We'll do it just to get it over with.
Yeah, quick question. Someone posted, when is the Christmas function? I think someone said.
Well, what we'll do is I'll send out an email to Daily Profit members. We'll find the best time that's going to work for everybody, and then we'll decide. So that'll go to Daily Profit members next week. I'll do a poll and everything. So final question. Roman asked, what is that lovely picture with Russian text on it in the background? So I have this thing, which I haven't put up in my office yet. And what it is a poster of the Futsal World Cup in 2007. And even though this physique doesn't quite look like it could do anything more than sitting down, I used to play indoor soccer for Australia, and I got to go to Russia and a few other countries to play, but Russia to play in a World Cup. And I think I've got a...
You were the captain. You were the captain of this.
No, I wasn't. Let's tell that story. So I had told Jono that I was... Let me get these pictures up while I'm telling that story. I had told Jono that I was playing for Australia, I was going to Russia, and I had told him that I was the captain, only because I had a meeting the next day, and at 26 or 27, I can't remember how old I was, I had an ego, and I assumed the meeting was to tell me that I was going to be captain. The meeting was just a general meeting about team formation and how we're going to play, and then I never corrected myself with Jono. He ended up telling his friends that I was the captain. And then, of course, I introduced Jono to my friends, and my friends are like, he was never the captain, what's going on? So that was my fault for not correcting. But here we are, I'm the second one behind here. I was about 27, I think. And it was amazing. We got our own private plane, and this thing was a death trap. And we played in Siberia. But everywhere we landed, we would have some sort of dance, throat singers. It was amazing. We would have like a whole marching military band come out and greet us. What else have we got here? It was run by the second largest diamond company in the world. So they had this huge display of diamonds. I think it was $500 million worth of diamonds. This is just one little picture of, like, they had 10 of these sort of things. Here we are at our first game. We managed to lose all the games. I did score a goal, and this was against, I think, Angola, and we lost 7-6 to them. It was 7-0 at halftime. We had never played in front of so many people, and we were just scared shitless in that first half. But second half, we came out and did all right. Here I am playing against the eventual winners. This was Paraguay. They beat Russia in the final. And yeah, I've managed to... I have no real skills. I'm probably the slowest person on the court. I can't tackle to save my life. But like everything in life, I found the 20% that I was good at and made sure that I was the best at that. So I was a striker. I knew how to find any corner of the goal. I knew how to beat someone, and I could read the play better than anyone else. But I was shit at everything else. But that was good enough to get me in the team. So that's my story. That's my former glory. And I think that wraps up things. So thanks for joining us. If you can give this video a like if you enjoyed it. Also subscribe to the channel. And yeah, we'll try. We say every time we're going to try to do these more often, but I think 4 months' time, Jono, you're going to be free then.
Yep. Yeah. No. We'll do it more often, mate. All good.
All right, guys. Thanks for joining us, and we will see you next time.
Thanks, guys.